Welcome to the Daily Vibecasting. Today, the curtain gets ripped off, the Minnesota miracle that wasn't. Investigators and federal officials toured a single former linen factory in Minneapolis that was somehow the registered headquarters for 400 different Medicaid businesses, punting nearly $500 million in government money. It is a masterclass in modern alchemy, turning paperwork into Ferraris. I'm your host, here to rip through the noise of the day's feed to find the signal. We have a heavy stack today. We're going to move from the absolute systemic failure of the, grift economy into the bleeding edge of hard tech physics, and finally we'll land in the surrealism of our current cultural moment.
And honestly, looking at the data flowing through the timeline today, I think we have definitive proof that grift is, it's currently the highest performing asset class in the United States. If you aren't faking a nonprofit, are you even trying?
It certainly looks that way on the charts. Let's start with the lead story, because this is the one just blowing up the timeline. We're looking at what people are calling the grift economy. There's a viral thread circulating from @Breaking911 and at Eric Aldo that details a physical tour taken by Dr. Oz, the CMS administrator, and Jim O'Neill from HHS.
This is the Griggs Midway building story.
That's the one. So let's set the scene for you. Picture an old industrial site in Minneapolis. This is the Griggs Midway building, a former linen factory, a gritty brick building. But on paper, it is a bustling metropolis of healthcare.
Bustling is definitely the key word there.
They found that this single address was listed as the HQ for approximately 400 separate Medicaid service providers. 400. And between them, they billed the government nearly $380 million. At Breaking911 is rounding that up to nearly $500 million.
Let's just pause on that number. $380 million. For context, I mean, that is the GDP of a small island nation just flowing through a single hallway in Minneapolis.
And here is the kicker. When officials toured it, it was basically empty.
See, this is where the nuance really matters. It's not just that it was empty. It's the categorization. According to the paperwork filed with the state, inside this linen factory, you supposedly had child care centers, autism therapy clinics, and hundreds of personal care assistants.
Which is just physically impossible. You can't fit 400 clinics in a factory unless they're, stacking the therapists like firewood.
Right. But the insight here isn't just that criminals lie. It's about the verification gap. Minnesota's Medicaid program has been under fire for a while. Estimates suggest up to $2 billion have been lost to fraud. $2 billion.
So how does that even happen?
It happens because the system is, it seems, designed for throughput, not for verification. These providers use specific billing codes, usually for personal care or therapy, that are notoriously hard to audit without, a physical visit. And since the state wasn't doing physical visits, the system just auto-approved the invoices. It's a complete oversight collapse.
And the public reaction has been visceral. You look at the replies at Eric Aldo's thread, and the anger is directed squarely at Governor Walz and Attorney General Keith Ellison. The calming question is, how does a database not flag 400 businesses at one address?
That is the key question. This is the second-order effect. It just destroys trust in the safety net. If you have 400 fake businesses operating out of one address without a single red flag going up in the state software, you have to ask, how many other factories are there? Is this incompetence, or is the bureaucracy actually incentivized to push money out the door to show high engagement with services? If you turn off the money tap, your engagement metrics, they go down.
Well, if we want to talk about money going out the door with zero results, we have to pivot to the West Coast. We have a companion story today from @America regarding the Los Angeles hustle.
This one is, I think, even more infuriating because it targets the most vulnerable people in the system.
Alexander Sufer, the executive director of a nonprofit called Abundant Blessings, was just arrested for wire fraud. The allegation is that he defrauded LA out of $23 million. That money was specifically earmarked to shelter and feed over 600 homeless people.
And looking at the indictment, the shelter was purely theoretical.
Correct. The homeless population got zero. But Sufer, he went shopping. We're talking about a mansion, a $125,000 Land Rover, a vacation home in Greece, luxury travel, designer clothes, and private school tuition.
This connects the dots to the Minnesota story perfectly. We are constantly told that the solution to social problems is more funding. If we just tax the rich a little more, we can fix homelessness. But, look at the data. California has spent $24 billion on homelessness since 2019.
And the result?
The unsheltered population rose by 12%.
That is a catastrophic return on investment.
It's negative ROI. And this is the takeaway for you listening. We are witnessing an efficiency crisis. When you see job market numbers, you have to wonder how much of our GDP is productive work and how much is just administrative graft. We are building an economy powered by the friction of moving government money into private luxury goods. It's a wealth transfer mechanism masked as charity.
That is a bleak image. It feels like the machinery of the state is just spinning its wheels. So let's cleanse the palate. Let's move from the fake economy of paperwork to the real economy of physics. We have a fascinating juxtaposition today in the tech sector.
This is my favorite part of the stack. Hard tech versus soft tech, atoms versus bits.
Let's start with the hardware. At Tesla Owners SV shared a video of the new SpaceX Raptor 3 engine test. They are calling it sublime engineering, and visually, it is stunning.
It really is. And for those who haven't seen it or who don't follow rocketry closely, the shocker here is what is missing.
Right. This engine eliminates the heat shield entirely. Usually, rocket engines are wrapped in these thick thermal blankets or foil because obviously space is cold and fire is hot. This thing is just naked metal.
Which sounds insane, right? Rocket exhaust is hot enough to melt steel. But here's the engineering breakthrough. They're using something called regenerative cooling.
Break that down for us.
Essentially, they route the cryogenic fuel, the super cold methane, through these tiny channels built directly into the engine wall before it goes into the combustion chamber. So the fuel itself acts as the coolant for the metal skin. It cools the engine down before it burns.
That's brilliant. And the video shows fuel leaks just burning off in the open plasma without causing an explosion.
That's the operational game changer. The specs are impressive. 280 tons of thrust, mass cut down to just 1,525 kilograms. But the real insight here isn't just weight, it's turnaround time.
So?
Well, if you have heat shields, they get damaged. They tear, they burn. After every flight, you have to inspect them, repair them, or replace them. That takes time and money. If you delete the shield, you delete the maintenance.
It becomes like a jet engine. You just land and fly again?
Exactly. In the last segment, we talked about billions wasted on friction. Here we see hard tech winning by deleting parts. Mass reduction is the holy grail of rocketry. It improves the mass fraction, meaning the ratio of fuel to cargo. The lighter the engine, the more cargo you can carry to Mars. They didn't just make a cooler engine, they accelerated the timeline for interplanetary colonization.
Meanwhile, back on Earth, the software world is getting, well, messy. We have a post from Sam Altman at Salma announcing the launch of Codex and claiming OpenAI is reaching a high level of cybersecurity preparedness.
Preparedness is a very corporate word choice there.
He says cybersecurity is tricky and promises they're getting ready, but the vibe in the comments is it's not celebratory. It feels like a user revolt.
It is a revolt. People are angry about the depreciation of the ChatGPT 4.0 latest API. Developers feel like they are being baited and switched, and this whole safety narrative, a lot of the technical community views it as a cover for moat building.
Explain that. How is safety a moat?
Well, look at the incentives. If you're OpenAI, you want to be the only game in town. So you say, AI is dangerous, we need strict controls.
Yeah.
But instead of solving actual dual-use risks like preventing an AI from designing a bioweapon, the strategy seems to be, let's just block more prompts and sanitize the output.
So it becomes like a nanny state for code.
Exactly. It feels lazy. It makes the model dumber to make it safer. Developers hate that. They don't want a lecture. They want a tool that executes code.
And that frustration is driving people to alternatives.
Right.
Adjacintas posted a tutorial that is just blowing up. It's about running Claude code locally.
This is the counter movement.
He breaks down how to run it for free, fully private, using open source models via a tool called Llama. No cloud fees, no API monitoring.
And this is the economic shift. We are moving from a cloud rent model, where you pay OpenAI a monthly tax, to a capital ownership model.
But you need the gear, right? You can't run this on a toaster.
There's always a catch. To make this work effectively, you need about 16 gigabytes of VRAM, that's video RAM on your graphics card. Standard laptops usually have 8 or maybe 12 gigs of shared memory, so you need a beefy gaming PC or a high-end Mac.
So the barrier to entry is hardware.
Right. But if you have the hardware, you own the intelligence. It's decentralized, it's messy, but it's uncensored. For developers tired of being treated like children by the big labs, that trade-off is looking very attractive. It's the home server revolution all over again.
It's the classic pendulum swing, centralized to decentralized. Okay, let's move to segment 3, culture and society. Because if the economy is fake and the tech is warring, the culture is just getting weird.
Weird doesn't even begin to cover it today. The simulation it's glitching.
We have to talk about the nostalgia play. Fortnite just dropped a bombshell for millennials. They are bringing the Office characters into the game. We were talking about Michael Scott and Dwight Schrute running around the map with assault rifles.
I saw the trailer. It is jarring. Seeing Dwight Schrute build a sniper tower is not something I had on my 2026 bingo card.
It's hilarious. You can do the Dwight emotes while cranking 90s.
Sure, it's funny, but analyze the strategy here. We have reached peak IP soup. You have a battle royale game, inherently violent and chaotic, merging with a mundane paper company sitcom from, 2006?
It makes no narrative sense.
None. It's a cash grab. They aren't selling gameplay. They're weaponizing your nostalgia. They know the player base is aging. The kids who played Fortnite in 2018 are adults now. They love The Office. So boom, Michael Scott with a shotgun. It's cynical brilliance.
I mean, I might buy the Dwight skin, I won't lie. But speaking of weird living situations, let's talk about The Secret Life. Netflix is trending with a documentary called Secret Mall Apartment.
This story is actually profound.
It's about a group of artists who lived inside the Providence Place Mall for 4 years, from 2003 to 2007, totally undetected. They built a hidden apartment in a utility void behind a parking garage.
They had electricity, they had furniture, they even had a PlayStation.
And they just lived there.
Yes, but the irony here is thick enough to cut with a knife. These artists did this as an anti-consumerist experiment. They wanted to live in the heart of capitalism, the mall, without buying anything. They were living off the grid, inside the grid. It was a protest against the commercialization of space.
And now,
their story of anti-consumerist rebellion is a product being sold to you by Netflix, the world's biggest streaming corporation.
So you have to pay a subscription to watch the guys who refuse to pay rent.
Exactly. The system eventually absorbs everything. Even the resistance becomes a monthly subscription service. There's no escape from the content machine.
That is slightly depressing. But the lines between reality and entertainment are blurring everywhere. Analysis posted a clip of Louis McLeod doing a Trump impression that is so accurate people are saying it feels like evidence.
I watched this. It's from a satirical show, An Evening with Private Eye. But the cadence it's uncanny.
He jokes about Russia keeping the White House as part of a peace deal. It's racking up millions of views because it feels, plausible.
That's the problem with satire in this cycle. It is struggling to compete with actual headlines. When foreign policy feels this surreal, the comedian's job gets really, really hard. The joke resonates because the reality is already disjointed. When you have actual politicians acting like caricatures, what is left for the satirist to do?
Speaking of disjointed, @RealDonaldTrump reposted a crypto wallet account at Squirrel Wallet that is counting down to the Melania documentary. It's this dramatic 7 days to history countdown.
Politics has fully merged with movie marketing. We have 7-day countdowns, teaser trailers, crypto tie-ins. It's all one big content slurry now. The presidency is just another IP to be monetized, like The Office and Fortnite.
And finally, for our vibe check on culture, we have the techno priest. Colin Rugg shared a video of Father Guilherme Peixoto. He's a Portuguese priest who is also a massive techno DJ.
2.7 million followers.
He played a nightclub in Beirut.
Part of me wants to say this is cool. He's meeting people where they are. But the analyst in me asks, is this the modernization of faith, or is it just a desperate search for engagement?
He's dropping beats in his clerical collar.
It feels like the church is realizing it has to compete for attention in the algorithm, just like everyone else. If you can't get them to Mass on Sunday morning, get them to the rave on Saturday night. It's the attention economy coming for the soul.
Hey, if it works, it works. But let's zoom out, way out. We've talked about fraud, tech, and culture. Now let's look at the stars.
The galactic perspective.
For All Curious is telling everyone to look up tonight. There is a rare triple conjunction happening. The Moon, Saturn, and Neptune are forming a literal smiley face in the sky.
A cosmic emoji.
Exactly. It's a nice moment, a little wink from the universe. But because you are you, and we can't just have nice things, Dumb Lucre has brought some existential dread to the table.
Well, someone has to keep us grounded. Astronomers have confirmed a wandering black hole in the Milky Way. It's about 7 solar masses, and it's just roaming around alone.
It's not orbiting anything.
No, it's rogue, just moving through the galaxy invisible, looking for things to consume.
So, on one hand, the sky is smiling at us. On the other hand, there is an invisible monster wandering around in the dark.
I think that is the perfect metaphor for today's episode. We're looking at a cosmic smiley face. The entertainment, the Fortnite skins, the distractions, the priest playing techno, it's all bright and shiny.
And the black hole?
The black hole is what we talked about at the top of the show. The fraud, the debt, the systemic collapse, the oversight failure. It's floating around invisible, waiting to eat the economy.
That is terrifyingly poetic.
It's the vibe, my friend.
So, what does this all mean for tomorrow? What's your prediction?
Based on the Minnesota and LA stories, I think we are about to see a massive audit panic. The grift bubble is popping. In the next 3 months, I predict we will see a wave of sudden shutdowns of nonprofits before the feds get there. Everyone is going to be scrubbing their hard drives.
Well, on that note, keep your engines clean and your receipts cleaner.
And watch out for the wandering black holes.
See you tomorrow.